Okay, we're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Give it a minute for everyone to hop on. As always, say hello. When you're in here, let me know who's here with me. You can feel free if you're watching the replay, either on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to say hello in the comments on the replay too. And I'll get back to you. So, today we're going to be talking, as always, about manifesting, and I want to talk today about letting go of the perceptions that you're holding that are keeping you unhappy. So I guess like a simple way of saying this would be releasing resistance, but I want to help walk some of you through this live, how to do that, because what I think people don't realize about manifestation is that it is really about the way you're perceiving things. And this, when we understand this helps us understand the mirror principle. Sorry guys, my hair is just weird because it's still kind of wet. It hasn't dried all the way. So don't mind me while I play with it. But the mirror principle, essentially understanding that we're at cause for everything in our reality. Things only exist the way they appear to exist outside of us because of the lens that we're holding, the way we're viewing life, the stories we're telling, the things we're feeling and holding on to within us, okay? And that, if that is something that you want to learn more about, you can click the link in my bio and get my self-concept guide. It's a 60 something page ebook, and I walk you through it, and I help you with your self-talk, and I help you identify where you're telling these shitty stories that are just keeping you stuck, you know? Also, just so you guys know, the replay of this live and then the replay of all my other lives, you'll always be able to find that on my YouTube. So everything's linked in my profile. If you want to get on my weekly newsletter, you can do that. If you want to work with me, if you want to get any of my audios, any of that stuff, if you want to send me a tip or whatever, you can do that all there, okay? So, but today mostly I want to focus on talking about perceptions, okay? And here's what I've noticed with a lot of clients. And I know this because I've led myself through this. This is something that I continue to lead myself through. Is when we have something that's really triggering us, like a certain thing or situation or person or event that's really bothering you, and you start to become aware of it, that it's a continuous thing for you, you'll kind of notice that the more you focus on it, the more you're experiencing it. And my recommendation is, in those moments, to really be willing to soften and surrender and let go of the story that you have going on with that. And here's what I mean. So we're not suffering necessarily because of the thing that's happening. We're suffering because of the meaning that we're attaching to it, the story that we're telling, the way we're seeing it, the way we're interpreting it. Yeah. So this will, and always when we're suffering, when we're feeling triggered, there's a victim story going on there. We've decided that something's not okay, that things should be different, and that you can't relax or feel good or have the things you want until this thing changes. But going back to the mirror principle, when we understand that we're actually the source of it all, everything that's showing up is because of old stories we've told, or old ways of thinking, or old ways of feeling, or old belief systems like, oh, I'm a victim, things never work out, or money's hard, or relationships are hard, or health is hard, whatever it may be. That's what's creating the circumstance. And so you've heard me speak about non-reaction many times, if you've been following me for a while, because non-reaction is a really powerful way to neutralize the energy, essentially alchemize it. Okay, but what I want to get into today is not just staying neutral. That's always a wonderful tool. That's always available. But if you want to take it a step deeper, if you really want to work on mastering yourself, be curious. What's the shitty story you're telling? Hey, Ziggy, can you not do that right now, honey? Buddy, can you go in your bed? Sorry, my dog's digging on the carpet. It's super distracting. He gets really bothered when I'm not paying attention to him. Go in your room, buddy. Good boy. He has his own bedroom. Okay, let me get back on my train of thought. So just getting curious about what's the negative meaning you're assigning to it. And then being willing to let that go. You don't necessarily need to try to flip it and assign a positive meaning, but just becoming aware of the negative meaning you're assigning to the events in your life will help you see the unhelpful thought patterns, right? So you guys feel free to comment on here and let me know like what's been triggering you lately, and if you want to share it, or just, you know, if this is something you want to lead yourself through privately, you can. But I want you to ask yourself, like, why does this bother me so much? What am I making it mean? Because the thing is, situations, everything that happens in your life is neutral. It only has the meaning you have. And a perspective that I think is going to be helpful, although some of you may not like it. And again, guys, just always, you know, always take what resonates, leave what doesn't, because you have that power to accept or reject information. But the way I see it, the way I understand it, is that things don't cease to exist. Like everything, every possibility, every possible combination of events and things and people and circumstances and situations already exists. It's not going to go away. It's just a matter of like, you can only tune into so much at one time. If you want to look at this scientifically, your reticular activating system is like, that's exactly what it's there to do. It's there to help you filter out information, because your brain can only process so much at a time, like as a human, right? So what you'll find is that when you're really triggered by something, you're likely telling the same unfavorable story over and over again, or like some variation of it. And the more you are committed to telling that story, to insisting that that has to be the meaning of what's going on, you're just going to keep pulling in experiences that validate that. Or, hear me out, you're going to continue holding up that lens. So no matter what you look at, that's the interpretation you're going to walk away with. That's how you're going to experience it. And so when you get so focused on trying to control things and trying to get rid of things or make something change, but you haven't dropped the old lens, it's like the most frustrating thing, and you're not going to get results. Do you see what I'm saying? So one of the most powerful things you can do is just say when you're triggered, I'm willing to see things differently. Just affirming that, just saying that to yourself within your mind, you know, if you pray, however the hell you connect it, there's no right or wrong way. Just saying, the mere act of saying, I'm willing to see things differently, that number one is going to make you aware of how you've been choosing to see it. It's going to kind of open up your mind to the possibility that, oh, there's another way for me to view this. And oh, perhaps the way I've been viewing this, since it's causing me a lot of pain, is not a lens that I want to continue to hold up to view the situation through. Okay? So here's the thing. We talk about transmutation. We talk about manifesting. We talk about magnetizing things to you. We talk about all that. But at the end of the day, on a deeper level, what's actually going on is it's just the lens you're holding. Okay. And this is why self-concept can be so powerful, self-concept work. This is why working on your mindset can be so powerful. But I'm talking specifically today about triggers. And this is where I see a lot of people staying stuck. I see people doing all the techniques. Sorry, it's going to be loud because the AC is kicking on, but I don't want to turn it off because it's hot here. So I'll just speak a little louder and hopefully you guys can hear me over top of that. But people will be doing all the self-concept work. They'll be doing all the affirming. They'll be doing all the things, but they still continue to react to the things that bother them, the things that they deem not okay. Therefore, keeping them active in their vibration, right? You're keeping it active in your experience because you're telling the same story over and over. Does that make sense? So just say that you're willing to see things differently. There's a book I read like many years ago called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And it's such a good book. And like one of my favorite quotes from that book is, I'm just going to quote it off the top of my head. So if I get it wrong, don't hold me to it. But it says, the moment that everything will be okay is the moment when you decide that you are okay with everything. Okay. So it's kind of along the lines of that quote that says, what we resist persists. And I've explained this other times on this channel of energetically what's happening when we're resisting, but I'll walk you through it again. When we're resisting, it's very tight, it's very tense, it's very heavy, right? And you can think of it like you're gripping tightly to that lens that's showing you what you don't want. Yeah. But when you can soften, when you can relax, like literally physically relax your body, be willing to see things differently. So letting go, not having a tight grip on it, needing to interpret things the way you've been interpreting them, you know, caring more about being happy than right. When you soften and relax, you drop that lens. And you allow for things for you yourself to have a different experience. And so in a human physical sense, the way we'll experience that often is people will seem to change, or we won't run into the same people, or the circumstances go in our favor, or things just start working out, or unwanted things are removed from our life. So we'll have that experience, or like, oh, the things you want start coming to you. But really what's happening is you changed your perception. Okay? So it's always in your power what you're going to focus on. And I speak a lot about, you know, focusing on what's going right. It's just like what Abraham Hicks says, that if you have 10 things going on in your life right now, like 10 subjects, and all of them are going great except for one, if you focus on the one that's going wrong, everything eventually will go wrong. Whereas, let's say you have 10 subjects and only one area of your life is going right, the other 9 are like really bad. But you would focus your energy and attention on the one that's going right, the other 9 would correct themselves. Does that make sense? And it's because that's the power of your focus. You're going to experience more of what you focus on always. So what's really powerful to do is the things that you feel are not okay, the things that feel really difficult for you, if instead of resisting them, if instead of repeating the same old shitty story and making them mean something bad, if you could just soften and relax and be like, okay, it's okay that this is here. Like, and what if it doesn't even mean what I think it means? Like, what if I've been interpreting this all wrong? Not that there's an ultimate right or wrong. It's essentially you get to choose how you interpret it. And just being willing to see things differently. If you would just relax and soften around the things that you don't love and understand that they don't have the power, you have the power, things would resolve themselves very quickly. So often we hold ourselves in this energy of disappointment, dissatisfaction, feeling some sort of lack, like something's missing, like something's wrong. And all that does, though, is create more of that. Because you just can't see abundance when you're holding on to a lens of lack. Yeah? So certain affirmations that I've used that have really helped are, like I said, I'm willing to see this differently. And also, I'm wide awake to my good. That is one that I love. I am wide awake to my good. I notice my good because there's so much good, and you can decide that everything's good. You know, like how in the Bible it says, and God called it good. Like God said everything was good. That's like when you're stepping into your God self, understanding that however you judge things is how you're going to experience it. So, you know, when we're feeling stressed, when we're feeling triggered, there's a lot of judgments behind that. And we're not going to be able to think our way out of that really from that mindset. The best thing we can do in those moments is let go and just be willing to surrender and really like becoming unconditional with your peace. Like essentially for me, when I really started to master this, I just became unavailable to be triggered. I was like, I'm not available to emotionally spiral. I'm not available to let people and circumstances out of me be able to dictate how I'm feeling and how my life is going to go. Like, I'm just not available for that. You have to really commit to your happiness and your peace no matter what. And when you do that, you really take your power back and you realize all the ways you were giving it away to people and circumstances outside of you. Yeah. So give me a second. I'm going to take a little break here, scroll through, see if I missed any comments. Today I have 2 decks of cards with me because I just kind of felt like that would be nice to do. So I'm going to pull some cards of like what we're collectively being called to let go of and, you know, what your soul wants to remind you. Apple user says, is working out my toxic patterns like jealousy, self-concept? Do you mean working on? I mean, that's just personal development, but yeah, it can be like, so from like I mean, it's all, there's so many different ways to just phrase the whole thing, but essentially, you know, when you're feeling jealous, what is that? What are the like deeper emotions there? Feeling not good enough, inadequate, feeling like there's competition. Maybe you have a painful experience, like painful pattern of not being chosen or not being the only one, whatever it is. Like, so what I would do if you wanted to work on jealousy through the lens of self-concept is I would find the beliefs that are going on underneath the surface there. Like, what's triggering you? What do you find triggering? What triggers the jealousy? And then choose to see those things differently and choose to tell a new story. That's where I would personally go in and actively tell a new story. So, like, let's say you're someone who is jealous with your partner. You feel like your partner's always, flirting with other people, or maybe you feel like you're not committed to, or whatever it may be, or you feel triggered about your body, or you don't think you're enough. You would find the negative beliefs going on there, and then you would go in and choose the opposite. So anytime you have that little voice in your head being like, oh my gosh, see, look, here's more evidence to back up my victim story of why things don't work out for me in love, you'd be like, no, that's not who I am anymore. Like, though, that's old programming. I am now the only one. I am chosen. I am fully committed to. I am fully wanted. I am fully loved and adored and committed to and prioritized, because I am amazing and there is no competition. Like, really taking back your power. There's other people on the planet. So what? That has nothing to do with the kind of relationship you get to have. There can be a million other beautiful people. That doesn't change that to your SP. You're the most beautiful one. And you can go in with some practical things to remind yourself, like, okay, I'm attracting a partner who's not shallow, who's not easily swayed, who values commitment, who's been looking for someone exactly like me, and they're going to know it when they meet me. There's not going to be any doubt in their mind. There's not going to be any doubt in my mind. It's just like letting go of all these struggle stories we have. And I'm using love as an example. Maybe you're experiencing jealousy in a different area. Maybe it's not love. I'm just kind of wanted to riff on that because that's actually a really good question. Oh, an Apple user said, what do you think about tarot? Well, I'm going to pull some cards, but I do it in a very different way. I do have readings, personal readings, as one of my services. I would say people book. Now, I started just doing tarot like many years ago. And then it morphed into life coaching. And now I just do more like mindset and energetic work. But I will occasionally, for my clients, I will pull cards for them too. But I mean, if you guys ever want a reading, you can book that with me. But it's more so just like a nice way to kind of solidify in the message. But really, like, my area of expertise, what I really like most is helping you really own your power to decide. Because here's the thing, you can sit around all day and watch TikToks and listen to readings and not change the way you're thinking and hope that you come across a reading that tells you what you want to hear. Or you can just like boss up and decide to tell yourself what you want to hear, because whatever you believe to be true is what will become true for you. But today, what I specifically wanted to focus on, like, there's a time and a place for affirming. I teach that all day, every day. If you want to really learn how to master manifesting through mastering your self-concept, you can get my self-concept guide if you're looking for a tool. That is at the top of my page. Everything's linked to the top of my page. But today, what I really wanted to talk about, because I see a lot of my clients right now who are, really working on self-concept, but they're not getting past their triggers, and they're still getting really triggered by stuff. And it's like, and then they're trying to affirm to change the thing that they're triggered about. And I just find that with that, there's an easier way. You should, in my opinion, when you're triggered, that's when you want to be soft. That's when you want to relax and soften. That's where you want to not tell any story at all. You want to get neutral. You want to relax. And that's where you really want to surrender and be like, I'm willing to see this differently. Is really essentially taking radical responsibility for the fact that the reason that thing hurts is because of a belief system that you're holding, a lens that you're holding up, right? That you're seeing it through. And in that moment, instead of trying to be right and being like, this needs to change, why is this here, this shouldn't exist, that's just resistance. That's just tight and tense. If you can be willing to surrender it to the point that you are so committed to your peace that you're like, you know what? I don't even care to tell a negative story about this. I don't even care to get worked up about this because I refuse to be bothered. Like, I cannot be bothered anymore. That's when you'll start seeing things differently. That's when you'll start really, really taking your power back. And there's so much power in just practicing non-resistance, like not needing things to change in order for you to feel good, choosing to feel good anyway. And the things that you think are not okay, if you could just be like, it's okay, these things are here right now, and I'm willing to see it differently, and I know I'm going to get what I want, but I'm not going to get there through like force and struggle, right? I'm going to get there through relaxing, softening, trusting, allowing, receiving, being in that receptive mode. Let me scroll down real quick, hang on. Okay. Hang on 1 second, guys. I'm going to pull some cards here. I was just cleaning up the comment section. I just saw, okay, so the sun reverse. Okay, this is like what I'm talking about. I said I wanted to pull a card on what you're being called to let go of. Stop looking at life like the glass is half empty. Stop focusing on what you don't prefer. Stop hyper focusing on what's going wrong. And instead, you can use the affirmation I shared with you earlier, I'm wide awake to my good, to flip this energy around. It's literally just a perspective. This is why gratitude practices are so powerful. And I'm not talking about gratitude like sit and write down everything I'm thankful for. Oh, I should just be thankful for this. Like, not like that, but just genuine appreciation, like finding the things that are going right. And if you feel like your life is hectic and it's hard for you to do that, like practice slowing down, practice creating little mindful moments where you can slow down and actually enjoy things, prioritize your joy. This is something I lead you through in my self-paced program, Manifestation Mastery. That's part of it. Like, part of it is intending and getting clear on what you want and working through some limiting beliefs, but it's also like intentionally choosing to feel better. That's going to magnetize so much to you because all of a sudden you're focused on what's going right, and that's where the lens you're holding up. So then you start to see all of the good, and then you have this experience of good things coming to you. It's like all of a sudden these things start appearing where you couldn't see them before. Does it mean they weren't there? I'm going to say they were always there. You just couldn't see them because of the lens you were holding up. Does that make sense? So let's see. What are we being called to let go of? Okay, being called to let go of thinking and envy. Okay, so this card for me, envy, it's funny because someone just asked about jealousy, but you can also think of this card as like lack, okay? So overthinking and lack mentality. You're being called to let go of that. That just doesn't serve you anymore. It's not going to get you to where you want to be, okay? So you're being called to let go of overthinking and let go of your commitment to the sad stories. Do you know what I mean? We also had the sun in reverse, like letting go of the need to incessantly point out everything that's wrong. It's like that inner critic that just keeps you really freaking miserable. You're just being called to surrender it. You don't need to try to make your manifestations in. Rather, I would say work on surrendering these behaviors and habits, because what that's going to do is create a lot of space for your manifestations to come in, okay? So I pulled some cards of just what your soul wants you to know, and it says here assertiveness. It says this situation can be healed gently with love as you've requested. Yet there's also a need for your strength and truthfulness with the other people involved. We will stand right behind you as you speak your truth, giving you strength and guiding your words. So that may be a specific message for some of you if you resonate with that specifically. However, the way I'm interpreting it in regards to what we've been speaking about is, be strong and truthful with yourself. Where are you actually putting your energy? Are you focused more on these lower vibrational energies that are making you miserable? Or are you focusing on your good? Sometimes we just have to be brutally honest with ourselves, okay? And take a stance for that. Because the thing is, when we can really be honest about where we're holding ourselves back, where we're blocking ourselves, that then, like this card says, opens you up to allowing things to be healed in a loving, gentle way. Okay, let me see. I want to pull one more. Okay, innocence. I'm going to tell you, I'll read this to you in a moment, but I'm just going to tell you how this holds in. This is the opposite of innocence, right? Children don't know how to do this. They are taught this. You are born innocent. You are born with an open mind, with an open heart. You go through life, you experience things, you get programmed and conditioned by people around you. You experience something, you assign a negative meaning to it. A lot of negative beliefs are formed over time, you know, subconsciously, consciously, the whole 9 yards. And we get into this space where we feel like envious, we're lacking, nothing's going right, we're overthinking, we feel like we've got ourselves in a hole, like down in a pit, and we don't know how to get out of it, and we're overthinking, trying to figure it all out, and life feels hard and heavy and difficult. And what your soul is wanting to remind you is that it is always an option to just let this stuff go. Like, just because you're in a habit of thinking that way doesn't mean you need to continue thinking that way. And if you can return back to your innocence and think about how, as a little child isn't full of judgments. They're just open and just taking it all in and not judging it. They're just appreciating everything. They're finding joy in the little things. They're more carefree. They're not really overthinking things. They know they're provided for. Like, that's not even a question in their mind. They're not concerned about if they're going to be provided for. They don't feel like they need to make things happen. They just want something. They say they want it and they get it. Yeah. You know, like, it's a very more easy vibe. So you're being called to really embody your innocence. And there's something in here, I think, around letting go of guilt. So let me read this out loud for you and I'll bring through any other messages. It says, "Beloved one, everyone is guiltless in truth, and no one can alter God's handiwork of perfection. Give us your feelings of heaviness so that we can lighten your load. Give us any guilt, anger, or blame that may shroud your loving outlook. Enjoy the peace within your heart once more." Okay? So this is really talking about releasing those lower vibrational energies: guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, lack, judgment, judging yourself, judging circumstances, judging other people. If you can surrender that, you're going to find that you reconnect with the peace that's within you all along. Your natural state is peace. Yeah. And that brings me back to that quote from The Untethered Soul that I was talking about earlier that says, the moment everything will be okay is the moment you decide you're okay with everything. So releasing all of these thought forms, all of these ways of thinking, all of these beliefs, all of these judgments, all of these negative emotions, just surrendering them and making a commitment to your peace. What's right under here is play. Okay, so again, this is really like and time to go. It's time to let go of this old way of being and reconnect with that innocent, playful, happy, light, peaceful version of yourself, because that exists. It's underneath all of that. I was like, I'm drinking a yogi tea and I was like, oh, I haven't even read the quote yet. It says, master the unknown by knowing your deep self. So yeah, we can get in situations where we're like, where's my manifestation? Where is it? How do I fix it? I don't know how to fix the situation. Why is this not working? And the unknown feels really scary when you're lacking faith, right? But when you let go of those things and you tap more into just the natural peace that's within you, more playful, more innocent, more light, releasing the judgments, you connect with your true self. And then when you are in that space of understanding that everything's here for you, everything's working out for you, you're not lacking anything, you're abundant, you're provided for, you don't have to overthink and figure it out. When you land in that space, it's like the unknown's fun, because you don't need to try to control it. You don't need to try to figure it out. You don't need to know everything ahead of time in order to feel safe. You're just really present in this moment. And I'm telling you, if you can master presence and peace, you're going to have an experience of the things you want coming into your life very quickly and seamlessly in a really beautiful, easy way for you. So I intend that this was helpful. I just kind of felt more like doing a reading today, like to kind of tie it in, and I love how it always ties in perfectly. I see a question here. Kay says, can you explain thought transmission? Well, whatever you assume to be true will become true. So think about this. Let's say you walk into a room full of people and you think, oh my gosh, everyone's judging me, everyone hates me, no one likes me, you know, whatever. You're going to feel really anxious and stressed, right? You're not going to have a good experience. You're going to be experiencing that. Do we actually know what those people were thinking? No, we don't. Does it matter what they're thinking? No, because how you're going to experience it is based off of what you're thinking. As it pertains to the law of assumption, it's like whatever you assume to be true will become true. So you've probably experienced like when you are thinking like really resentful thoughts about someone, like you're going to notice your relationship with them suffers. Whereas when you assume like, oh no, like they want a healthy relationship with me, or they want to commit to me, or they want peaceful communication or whatever. I'm just throwing out examples. You're going to have an experience of them coming forward and expressing those things. I think with manifestation, a lot of people get in this energy of chasing, of really trying to force things and people outside of them to change. And while, yes, you can make positive assumptions like, oh yeah, SP wants to be with me, wants to commit to me, you know, everyone's assuming the best of me, all these things, you can do that. You can go in with that. I would be careful of letting that become your focus, because all of a sudden you're missing the mark, you're misaligned, you're focused on the thing outside of you instead of you, and you've forgotten in that moment that you're the source. So it's more powerful, I think, to be focusing on you and feeling good and focusing on your alignment, and knowing and trusting that the more you let go of your triggers, the more you let go of any lower energies like guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, the more you let go of judgments of yourself and others, the more you let go of needing to try to fix things, and you just soften and relax and give yourself permission to be really present with yourself in the moment, and allow yourself to have fun, and allow yourself to relax, and allow yourself to appreciate and see the good, the more you'll notice that things go in your favor. Okay? I've spoken on this before, like how when we stop focusing on problems, often the problem just works itself out. It kind of ceases to exist. And it's not like, when you understand from a quantum physics point of view, it's not that potential doesn't still exist out there. It always exists because you're infinite and you can choose whatever you want. It's more so it's not going to exist in your reality because it's no longer your point of focus. And I think that's where people get really hung up, because they get hyper focused on what's wrong because they think they need to fix it. And they get so triggered and bothered by it. And they make the fact that there's this thing happening mean that a bunch of negative things, and they get hyper focused on that. But that right there holds it in place. So there's something to be said for just giving your problems a break and just focus on what's working. And even if you see something that you don't like, stop thinking you need to fight it. Stop resisting it. What you resist will persist. So how can you be willing to see things differently? Can you stop telling unfavorable stories? Can you be okay with things being the way they are right now? Because ironically, that's the energy that allows it to shift. Is this making sense, guys? Feel free to ask any questions in the comments below. I feel like I'm not going to be on super long today. That's because that's feeling pretty complete, but I'll stick around for a few questions. I'm seeing some hearts. You guys are a little more quiet today, but I'm seeing some hearts, so I'm intending that this landed. Okay. Tage says yes. Patricia says yes, makes sense. Good. I'm glad. So I'm just sharing these with you over the last couple of weeks. I've been sharing different tools, different perspective shifts, different practices for non-reaction, for practicing neutrality, for relaxing, releasing resistance, because this is just like a theme I've been seeing. And, you know, it's eclipse season too. It's a really good time to let go of the behaviors and the beliefs that aren't serving us. Yeah. So there's a time and a place to, you know, intentionally steer your focus and choose, you know, to tell a new story. But there's also a time and a place to just quit telling the negative stories, you know? You're so welcome. Thank you for being here, guys. So this weekend, I'll get the replay of this uploaded if you missed it or if you want to rewatch it, okay? And it will be uploaded to my YouTube channel. I also send the link for the replay in my weekly newsletter that goes out every Sunday. So you can check all those things if you want to get on my newsletter list, if you want to check out my YouTube and see past lives, if you want to work with me, if you want to get my self-concept guide, any of my self-paced programs, any of my audios, meditations, any of that, it's all linked at the top of my page, okay? Thanks for being here. I'm sending you guys love. Have a great rest of your week and weekend, and I will see you next week. I might be going live. I usually go live Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to be out of state visiting some family, so I'm not sure exactly. I'm still going to try to find a time to go live next week. I just don't know what day and time. So if you're not following me yet on here, go ahead and give me a follow. That way you'll get notified when I go live. And if you miss it, don't worry, because you'll find the replay on my YouTube. Okay? Thank you, Patricia. Okay, you guys take care. I'll talk with you soon. Bye.